You know how many questions I get? Did they sign NDAs? No, they didn't sign any NDAs, okay?
That's so brave. Like actually, like to bring YouTubers in and like not wild. It's very rare that happens. Let me tell you, very brave to do that.
When he says very brave, I'm getting more afraid. But hey, it's too late. It's too late anyway.
Hi, I'm Brad. Again. And with me, I have the CEO of Somnium, Artur.
Hello. Hi. Hello.
Hopefully that does not sound awful for your ears. But anyway, so I've been spending, as I said in the previous video, a couple days here to try out their hardware venture that some of you have been asking me many things as if I knew stuff. I knew nothing. So I brought him here and he's trapped in a room with me and I'm going to ask him the questions that you people, some of you people, submitted. And if they don't ask any questions that you don't really care about, well, blame them, not me. It's not my questions. Thank you for doing this first, by the way.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see you and spend a day with you and show you the headset and stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I think
He abused me. No, all good.
All right, so yeah, as I said, these are user-submitted questions. I actually didn't even screen them, so some of these questions might be so stupid, but I'll let that be your decision if it was a waste or not.
I will judge.
And he will judge too. You know what? Let's start with this one because I think it's really funny, and I don't know why someone would ask this about a VR headset. I guess it matters to some people. Does the Somnium VR1 have an on and off button?
Yes. 4 of them. You can program all 4 of them to be on and off button. Does that answer your question?
That actually is a good question. And
he was pressing those buttons all day.
On the way here, I was literally telling to him that might actually legitimately be my favorite feature of the headset.
It's a bit sad, but
I mean,
I take it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really cool. I was asking him like, hey, you're going to have cool 4 programmable things. Would they be able to add the features of like adding even more with like double press and stuff? And what did you say?
I said yes. Probably not at the start because to add features like double press on long press, it takes time for the software. In the beginning, you'll just be able to map those buttons to do things you like I don't know, mute a mic, turn on your overlay, turn off the screen, and probably turn on mixed reality, like those things. Probably you'll put volume rockers on some of those, but like you can mix and match those things. But in the future, we'll probably even release the code to do that, so you guys can do it instead of us. Help us, okay? All right.
Actually, I think that's a good thing to kind of go over is like, so you described the headset as like open source. People are curious, like, what about it do you make it feel like you can call it that? Like, what exact parts are open source? How is it like a community effort for software and hardware? For
we call it open. So the open sourceness part is, of course, eye tracking, as we said before. Eye tracking algorithm and the access to the cameras will be fully open sourced. Now we want to open, first of all the sensors and access to the sensors on the headset will be open as well. Like for example, the gyroscope and accelerometer for the screen on-off stuff will be accessible. And now we are going through tech stack by tech stack, like for a mixed reality camera, what can we open source and what we cannot, because some of the chips are designed in-house, as you've seen today, and some of the chips are not because we just source them, and some code we cannot obviously open source if it's not ours. So we will try to open as much as we can, but being able to program the buttons, being able to use anchor points, being able to have the access to all the cameras and sensors and the open sources of eye tracking makes me feel to say that this is an open headset. We don't restrict you on the license. We allow you to do everything. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
Much better than most things out there.
And by the way, for the buttons, thanks for the feedback, because the buttons you were pressing very much a lot. They are all 3D printed buttons right now because we didn't order them yet in bulk, and we'll probably add the tactile things like 1 dot and 2 dots so you can actually feel which button you're pressing. But yeah, those.
So in case you missed the last video, I'm sure I'm gonna at least mention it. Yeah, 4 programmable buttons, and like they only were really using I think 2 of them for most of the demos.
Today, yes. Today,
Yeah,
too.
today. One of them was activating the pass-through, and another one put a virtual monitor on top of that pass-through, or VR as well. So very basic today, but it was also very useful just having that. But like I can imagine like VR chat users being able to tap into that for like OSC toggles that you don't have to go through all the radial menus and stuff. I really like that feature, is all I'm trying to say.
You can only imagine what VR chat users will map there.
Right.
My imagination
ERP
goes
mode.
well.
Anyway, someone is curious about the possibility of Linux support for the headset.
Oh, I answered that in like, look, we have AMD support, we have NVIDIA support, like because people were asking in that, but like I'm sure in the future will be possible, but not on release. Like,
Yeah.
I just cannot promise something we will not be able to do. Like it will be a stable, good working headset upon release, but all the other things we will probably do later. Right. So maybe within first year, maybe a bit later, I don't know. But as an open headset, it's expected, I know.
So another thing, so there's been many hardware over the course of time that has a lot of features, a lot of good specs on paper, but you see a lot of times that it's very hard for companies to deliver hardware because hardware is hard. What are some things you can like say that make you feel confident you can ship the product when you say people can trust you to give your money to you to get a product? Like what kind of thing could you say about that?
I think first of all, we're very transparent. Hopefully you've seen it today as well. We're very transparent about the process and about which state the hardware is in and what we're good at and what we're still figuring out. I think in terms of, and your feedback was really useful today, and we'll be working on some of that feedback. And I've seen some questions on the Discord, like, isn't it too late to change things? I don't think so. Like the last bits and pieces where we're changing is doable, but because the team behind the headset is the team which shipped several iterations of one of the most high-end headsets on the market, VR Engineers and Xtal, because we work a lot on this headset and we've spent a lot of money and time doing that, I'm very confident that we can deliver what we promised to deliver. Now, it's like we might differ in the timeline. Like our goal right now is, so we are filming it obviously in December. We're planning to start mass production in 2.5 months. Whether it will be maybe 3 weeks later or maybe even a bit earlier, depends on things how they go in the last 5% of iterations. But I think we can ship what we have promised. I'm a heavy user. Like you had a lot of feedback, and we might dive into that if you want. But I think for many people, the way it is already today is quite good. But we can make it better, and we can fix some of the issues you find out today, or you felt like we needs to be addressed, and we will address that with the paper, the magic paper. I have it on my table. Okay. So we've written down everything. We'll be analyzing this and trying to understand where these issues are coming from. A lot of issues are just from us assembling like manually the headsets, to be honest. This is, of course, the way how things are. That's why we invited you also to see the early units. But we have 3 months to go, and we have a lot of things to fix, and it's a lot of time, so we can do it.
If I can elaborate my side on that a little bit, I mean, I'm pretty sure I will have like some sort of first impressions video before this one you're watching here, but basically it still needs work in my feelings about it. Like I can see they're getting closer to that finish line, but I saw some optical things especially that I felt were uncomfortable for a consumer product. And but like I had a very similar situation with a lot of stuff with the big screen beyond. That team also brought me in early, let me actually scream out my words, and were, instead of gaslighting me into making me think I'm like blind or something like a certain company did, they did write that stuff down and change stuff in hardware. And I feel a lot of that same sort of feelings from not just Artur here, but a lot of the Virgineers. They gave us a tour of the office and everything, and you could see the constant professionals working there, all the iterations, all the little pieces, all the PCB boards that show this product has been actually in development for a long time and like where it's gotten to. So,
and I think what makes me confident, because the feedback you gave to us, like I can see from the experience of what we were working on, that many of them are just the hardware imperfections getting from the manual assembly, and some of the like lenses didn't have coating, we just didn't have coating. And that will improve dramatically because the coating brings like the last 5%, which actually improves you almost 100% of the visuals. So some might say like, why do you show him lenses without coating? Because why not? Like this is the product we're working on. We're transparent about our development. So I feel confident we can address majority of your things. Some of them are just us taking better pair of lenses and just testing them again and making sure that they're the ones to use. And yeah, I mean, that's the development process. It's never easy.
Yeah.
It's never easy.
So this has been a question a lot of people have been asking you for a while, and I guess it's kind of related to this whole, should people trust you with their money? But maybe the better question is, how much money are people likely going to give you to trust you? What is the price that you guys are targeting?
First of all, you don't need to trust me with the money because I'm not asking you to give me any money. That's a truth of life. Like, don't do pre-orders, okay? Like, whenever I open pre-orders, not pre-order, but orders, that's the time where I believe that the headset is ready and that we addressed everything we wanted to address. And it's visually good and stunning. I'm pretty sure before that, or directly before that, maybe on Somnium Connect, you'll have a chance to test it again and give your feedback. In terms of the money, the price, that's the question. I'm printing the hoodie, which will say, I don't tell the price, okay? This is the meme, becoming the meme. And I explained already many times why we are waiting with the price. Because some of the components and some of the processes are still being finalized at the factory, and the difference, like even if the difference is 1-2 hours of the development and production, can make a significant difference in the price. And we obviously don't want to promise you something and then not do that. And on top of that, we try to keep the price as low as possible, so the margins are quite thin, and we don't want to make a mistake. Okay, so that's just the backstory, and it's true. Like that is how it is. As much as I want to give you the price and say, okay, that's the price, but today we can quite confidently say, and this is kind of an exclusive, that the starting price we're aiming right now is around about 1,899 euros for the base model, and then obviously by adding add-ons, you will add some parts to it. And the add-ons jumps will not be that significant, like not all of them, like some of them will be quite more expensive than others, like mixed reality, for example. It's a complex feature and it's an expensive feature, but eye tracking, for example, is a less expensive one. So yeah, so that's the start we're aiming. Like, can it change? It could a bit, but I'm not expecting huge changes. So that's the price we're aiming for, the starting ad price. I hope you're happy, people. Okay, I saw some guesses where people's like, it has to be 999. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Impossible. It's just, we're producing it here. Like, it's impossible, unfortunately.
Not every company can bleed billions of dollars and not show any profits while doing so.
Yeah.
All the companies, mostly,
Amen.
except Meta. Seems to be the only one that can do that.
We are not, like, by the way, you would be surprised to hear that many companies, which you would not expect, they do subsidize their headset as well. I'm not going to name names, but they do. And it's fine. They do it with investors' money, for example. I told you in the morning that it's our self-funded endeavor. Like, it's our own money we earn in game economy. So that is, it's a fair price which we can charge. That's how it is. I cannot add anything more there.
But something for me is like the choice to produce in Europe. You want to explain like why you decided that?
I can explain why. So we're not aiming to sell hundreds of thousands of headsets, at least in the first iteration. That's number one. Number two, having the quick turnaround. You've seen in the office how we iterate. That gives us enormous control over the quality and also enormous control of the product, and keeping the tab on the product is important because moving the production to China As cool and easy as it sounds, it wins you some money for sure, and we can make it cheaper there. But you lose on all the processes and you lose the touch with the product, because here in the factory, which is literally 2 hours from where we are right now, I can go and check things. We can go together and look at how those guys assembling the headset. Where is the problem? If there is a problem, fix the problem. Talk to the factory, which is our close partner, and say, hey, let's improve this process. Let's seal this, I don't know, dust-free room better. This kind of examples, and let's improve the process to do that. So I think quality, quick turnarounds, better control over the product is what we're aiming at, and that is it. Like, that's pretty much
Makes
the
sense.
reason. It's more expensive, but on the other hand, it's I think it's worth it, like, my opinion.
Yeah. So someone's curious, like, how do you guys do IPD adjustment? Today, it was just a slider, but isn't that going to be eventually, well, eye tracking, if you get the eye tracking model, will like recommend you an IPD?
It will recommend you, but it will always be a slider. Okay. Now, today, the slider you've tested, the mechanism inside was a 3D printed one. Okay. It works quite okay, but obviously the factory one will be much more smoother and will hold the position better and things like that. So, but it will be always manual, because to add the automatic one, honestly, I'm always pissed at automatic adjustments. Like the way they just try to adjust when I don't want that to be adjusted, because like if you put it right one time, it should be fine. So we just keep things simple. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel, and yeah.
Oh, this was something that I was actually happy to hear about today, but just ask you. So the headset has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, because there's actually no built-in audio that comes in the box. You will need some sort of headphones or like a sort of...
we will have a solution for clip-on, as I told today.
Okay.
We are working on to have a clip-on headphones, ideally off-ear headphones, so that you can actually tilt it in a distance you want to tilt it. Like, I don't think it's like a valve index type of solution directly, but it's something in between the on-ear from Vive Deluxe and off-ear valve index.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an in-between thing, and it's, again, goes into headphone jack. But the strap directly which goes with the headset will not have an audio, yes.
Okay. The question the user wanted to know is that little headphone jack, it's not just out audio. You can also, I believe, use it for in
Correct.
audio.
That's what Martin said today as well,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, he also said, though, it has a dual mic system built into the headset,
yes.
And he's stating it's as good.
I'm not saying it. You can listen to it in one of our blog posts. I think the previous one, we have a YouTube video,
okay,
which is a test microphone of Somnium VR1, and you can just hear how it sounds. And as guys told you, I was pretty annoying about that. So we wanted to have good microphones, and we have quite good microphones. So yeah.
He runs he runs his own social VR service. He does other social VR. So
I want to sound like bad microphones.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I guess it goes back to the question of the price and also the openness sort of thing. So you guys partnered with Prusa. What exactly does that mean? How easy would it be for a person just to print out parts and stuff and, self-repair their own headset or change different modules out, would you say?
Yeah, I think you can answer that question after today's tour as well. We mentioned that in the tour. So outright, Prusa helped us with some of the parts printing and prototyping during the process. That helps a lot already. We were like their office is 10 minutes away from our office. So there's a lot of kind of access there. So they helped us to just rapid prototype a lot of things during the development. Some parts of the headsets, like the anchor points, you will be able to 3D print super easily and modify them. And I hope you will do. In terms of the self-repair, up to an extent, right? Because if you know what you're doing and you're really good at it, you'll be able to take apart the headset, and unclog all those flexes and just do some stuff. But you need to know what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing, just don't go inside the headset. It's okay. But yeah, we don't use glue almost in any part of the headset, so you can unscrew all this. You saw those screws inside, so it's kind of like a Lego a little bit. so what Prusa does with us, so we will deploy all the projects and all the files for all the types of printers they have, and they will be helping us to optimize the files. So we provide them the 3D files, and they do the 3D printable files ready, because they know how to do it the best way. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's number one. They will release it on their printables, and they will release it probably on their website for Somnium VR1. And then we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of overlap kind of in these communities. So we will come up with some other stuff. But again, during the development, they helped us with rapid prototyping, plus the printables and the release of the 3D files, and the rest we'll see.
They still had some parts even today that were like all 3D printed, not injection molded yet, but like they were already really impressive 3D prints. Like that you could just tell.
Yeah, there's a lot of black magic you can do in 3D printing.
Yeah,
there's a 3D print, and then there is a 3D print. And the difference is...
And so, not like in some ways, I actually like the texture of the 3D print more than the injection molding. It was that
the
well
face
done.
mask, right? Or the
actual the frame, that part, I was like, that's awesome. Another part of this is you guys are going to be selling some modules and like other parts separately. Will that be something in certain volumes at launch, or is that later on?
So it won't probably be the first months after launch, just because we're going to be tweaking a lot the website itself. You know, running eShop is a thing as well. Like, we're not selling one product, you have to combine things and people can click and choose and stuff. So that's already quite complicated. But as you said today, the cables, for example, will release the pinouts, will release the specifications, and you'll be able to buy the cable separately. And later on, you've seen the optical model. So that will be sold separately. The boards will be sold separately, and we'll probably divide it into categories like 2 optical modules, the board and the flexes, this, you know, all the other parts like smaller boards and stuff. So you'll be able to just buy those, and our goal is to sell almost every part of the headset separately, and including probably even some 3D printed plastics if you don't have the 3D printer, because why not?
Yeah.
We can print it ourselves.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the kind of interesting features and maybe the more premium features on the higher ends. So you guys have eye tracking. I believe it runs at 120 hertz, you guys said. Now the interesting thing is it's developed in-house.
Yes.
Do you want to like explain why you guys made that choice, and like what went in the process of making that decision, and like the benefits you might get from that?
It's a combination, and that's where the partnership with VR engineers kind of comes into place, because they had this algo before, and we had a choice whether we use a third-party eye tracking solution, or we just develop something in-house, and then, or we kind of continue developing and finish something we have in-house. And I think because the headset wanted to be open, and obviously if there's a third-party solution, we don't control where the data is going, we don't control the algorithm, we cannot open source anything, we can share anything. We said, look, it makes sense to just release that and have that in wild and allow people to modify that. So that's just the thinking, like in-house is better than outside, not being dependent on someone else, it's always better, and that's it.
And it tracks like if your eyes are open or closed.
Correct. So it tracks, right now it's a binary basically. It's like either it's open, either it's closed, or if there is an eye detected or not. So there's 3 states right now. We know that if enough development effort will be put into the software, you can track granularly the eyes open and close, the lids. The thing is, at this launch, we will not do it. And what I said to you is we will run some competitions with prize money to kind of, you know, energize the community to let them do stuff with our eye tracking, because you have access to the cameras, you have access to the algorithm. Like that's the answer. And yeah, having it in-house is better because we can do stuff like that.
It's like the opposite of Toby, where I always hear Toby is like, you have harsh licenses, you can't do any of that
Correct.
stuff. You can't.
You have to think, like, our headset will be for prosumers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure that people who are buying $400 headsets will be aiming at our headset. You know, it's okay if they don't. But prosumers, and then if you look at universities, research facilities, military, having the algorithm open source and buying 50 of our headsets allows them just to hire one person and they know that they can continue developing this, and they're not relying on anyone else than themselves for this. And that is a big plus for consumer, prosumer part. Like, the university can just run with it and do medical research, and they know they can do it for 5 years, and they're not afraid of being cut because of some license or us discontinuing support for that. That's the big part, which is not kind of direct understandable for consumers because they don't understand that that's what's happening.
Okay, that makes total sense to me. Final question, very technical-ish question. You guys have a custom fiber optic cable design going on.
Hybrid,
here. Yeah, and that isn't just for the VR version. There's also one for the MR as well. Do you want to go and explain like the requirements and why you guys had to do different stuff for that?
It's just for the optimized throughput. I mean, it's first of all to power the headset. So the VR, as we've shown, the VR version has the USB-C type cable going into the headset. Don't put it into the phone, okay? Even though I don't know why would people do that, but don't do it. So it's a USB-C going into the headset, which is screw in. And then it's the DisplayPort 1.4 and the USB-A 3.2 going into the computer with the breakout box and the power cable. That's the VR part. The MR part has the same, but without the power, because it's being powered by 2 USB-C. So instead of the DisplayPort, you have 2 USBs, which was 5 amps each, and that's why they power the MR camera, each MR camera. In terms of the why we design our own cable, because that's the requirement without which we cannot run the headset. Like the throughput and the power thing is the requirement for these displays, for this data throughput. I mean, I'm hoping I'm answering this question. Like, that's what you wanted to hear, or?
No, that's.
And again, we'll release the pinout, we'll release the specification of the cable, and we'll sell it separately. So if someone wants to develop a similar headset, but with the, with a similar throughput of the data, just feel free to use this cable because it's already developed and it was fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Sorry, you have to beep it out.
No, I can tell, like, because they were actually giving like the engineers were giving like a full explanation of all of it, and you can tell they were very proud of all the work that they put in just the cable. Another interesting thing about the MR stuff is they told me that it also does foveation for the cameras as well. So the bandwidth is already so high, they kind of have to do that for each camera. And they also told me they'll be able to move that foveated circle with the eye tracking as well. So really cool stuff. I just thought that was really neat. And
So foveated rendering works both for VR and MR. And it's kind of out of necessity, but also because it just saves you a lot of performance and stuff. So.
Another final thing, it's a little comment that I asked them earlier, and it was I value the room view feature. This is technically a SteamVR headset, and I asked the engineers about could I tap into that for SteamVR. So like any overlay I run for SteamVR, would I be able to like do the Vermilion SteamVR overlay or just the SteamVR theater mode in my play space? They told me that they will be able to change the driver to make that work. So that made me extremely happy.
Yeah, we didn't have it for today's demo, but yeah, from the engineer comment, I realized it's actually pretty simple for him to do. So yes.
So good. I want to use Valve Index very poor pass-through to record anything related to SteamVR overlays and AR. So that makes me happy. Anyway, that is it. Again, if a question that you wish was answered wasn't answered, it's not my fault. It's my
it's your problem.
Stupid community. I mean, awesome community. Thank you for doing this again. This was very nice to have. Okay, well, I think that's it. All right, bye everyone.